The film commences in a futuristic version of Canada, where the government has implemented a strict prohibition on the birth of second children in order to manage population growth. Even if a family's first child has passed away, they are not permitted to have another. At the heavily fortified Canada-United States border checkpoint, an automated announcement instructs everyone to proceed to the inspection office with their personal belongings. John Henry Brennick, a former Army officer, and his wife Karen Brennick sit nervously in their car awaiting inspection. Karen's subtle movement reveals a magnetic vest concealed beneath her overcoat, indicating her pregnancy. It becomes evident that they are en route to Vancouver to deliver their second child, defying the law. After their first child is born, the government enforces the procedure of tying the female's tubes to prevent further pregnancies. However, Karen defies the odds and becomes pregnant again. Hence, she wears the magnetic vest to conceal her pregnancy. Upon arrival at the inspection center, soldiers instruct them to exit the car with their belongings. While one soldier inspects Karen's bag, a girl ahead of them is apprehended for her pregnancy. However, Karen manages to evade detection as the magnetic vest prevents the scanning machine from alerting the guards. Despite their initial success, a guard notices the magnetic vest on Karen, triggering an alarm and prompting the soldiers to attack. In the ensuing chaos, John bravely fights off the soldiers and flees with Karen towards the bridge. With the soldiers in pursuit, John urges Karen to escape without him, a decision she reluctantly agrees to. Shortly after, John is apprehended, while Karen manages to evade capture. In the subsequent scene, John and other captured individuals are transported in a vehicle to a notorious prison known as the Fortress. This facility is privately owned and operates as a maximum security prison under the control of the Mentel Corporation. Situated amidst an expansive desert, escaping from the fortress is deemed impossible. Upon arrival, the guards force the prisoners to strip naked. Meanwhile, a voice identified as Director Poe welcomes them to the fortress. In a grim initiation process, the prisoners are fitted with a psychological security intelligence system implanted into their intestines, a procedure known as intestination. Director Poe explains that this system triggers extreme pain in those who break the prison's rules, with crossing a yellow line on the floor inducing severe abdominal pain, and crossing a red line resulting in instant death. Tensions escalate when one inmate succumbs to nerves and crosses the yellow line, immediately collapsing in agony. As the unfortunate man accidentally crosses the red line, his abdomen begins to swell grotesquely before ultimately bursting. Horrified by the gruesome outcome, the remaining prisoners are herded into an elevator that descends deep underground. It's revealed that the prison is situated 30 stories beneath the surface. John and his fellow inmate, Nino Gomez, disembark on a designated floor, where they encounter a monitoring device known as the Z-10, which directs them to a cramped prison cell already filled with occupants. One of the inmates, Stiggs, protests against the overcrowding, but Zed sternly warns him of intestination consequences. Laser beams within the cell prevent inmates from exiting when unnecessary. Amidst this tense environment, John introduces himself to another prisoner named D-Day. As they begin to drift into slumber, the third inmate, Abraham, advises John to refrain from dreaming. While everyone is in the grasp of sleep, Zed conducts his routine inspection of the prisoners. He scans John's face and delves into his dreams, finding John immersed in a passionate encounter with Karen. Meanwhile, in the monitoring room, the prison's director, Poe, observes John's dream and finds himself captivated by Karen. Poe reminds John that dreaming is an unauthorized mental activity prohibited within the facility, abruptly rousing him from his reverie. John experiences a sharp pain in his abdomen, indicating he has been implanted with a device. The following day, the inmates are assigned to labor in underground construction. During this time, a homosexual inmate named Maddox perpetrates a sexual assault on Nino. John intervenes to protect Nino and engages in a physical altercation with Maddox. Zed intervenes, quelling the disturbance by activating the implanted devices within their abdomens. Subsequently, all three inmates are confined to a small laser cell and interrogated about the altercation's instigator. Nino, intimidated by Maddox, hesitates to speak the truth. In a bid to shield Nino, John falsely claims responsibility for starting the fight. He is then escorted to Poe's office, where Abraham is seen shaving Poe's beard. Poe shares with John a live video of Karen showering, revealing that she had been arrested alongside John and taken to prison. Poe then interrogates Karen and John, inflicting pain on them as punishment. Later, Abraham informs John that floors A and B are designated as the women's quarters, suggesting Karen might be located there. Subsequently, Karen is shown in her cell conversing with another pregnant inmate. As she experiences discomfort in her abdomen, guards escort her away. It becomes apparent that all women in the quarters are pregnant. Karen becomes aware that the facility is involved in some dubious activities concerning their newborns. Meanwhile, in the men's quarters, Maddox instigates a confrontation with John, leading to an intense battle witnessed by everyone in the facility, including Poe from his cabin. Karen spots her husband from her floor and is taken aback. The altercation between John and Maddox escalates, resulting in both parties being injured. John manages to push Maddox off the edge, though he clings on desperately. Poe commands John to eliminate Maddox, but instead, John chooses to assist him. Angered by this defiance, Poe takes matters into his own hands, using a weapon to fatally wound Maddox, causing a catastrophic injury to his abdomen. John discovers Maddox's abdominal device on the ground and discreetly passes it to Nino before being escorted away by the guards. In the subsequent scene, Karen enters a room where John is suspended within a massive contraption known as the Mind Wipe Chamber. Poe has sent her to persuade John to cooperate. Despite their conversation, Karen is swiftly removed by the guards. The machine initiates its operation, inducing hallucinations in John as punishment for defying Director Poe's command to kill Maddox. Over time, John's psyche begins to deteriorate, reliving memories from his military service, his wedding day, and beyond. After 3 days, Poe summons Karen to his chamber. He expresses surprise that John has endured for so long, as the maximum duration anyone has ever lasted on the machine is merely an hour. He presents Karen with an ultimatum. He'll release John if she agrees to stay with him in his chamber as his companion. With no other option, Karen reluctantly accepts. When John is brought back to his cell, he appears to be completely devoid of cognitive function. He doesn't engage with anyone and seems impervious to pain. Meanwhile, Karen begins to cohabit with Poe. One fateful night, she awakens to find Poe hooked up to various wires, revealing that he has been genetically enhanced to become an advanced human. Poe no longer requires sleep or food. Instead, he supplements his diet with amino acids once a month. This modification is not unique to Poe. All children born within the confines of the prison undergo similar procedures to evolve into advanced humans. The ultimate goal is to combat overpopulation and hunger plaguing humanity. Poe was among the earliest subjects of these experiments, a fact that shocks Karen to her core. As time passes, John shows no signs of recovery. Abraham informs him that Karen is visibly pregnant, signaling the imminent arrival of their child. Despite his apparent emotional detachment, John silently sheds a single tear. That evening, Karen deceives Poe into consuming alcohol, causing him to pass out. She then manipulates the control panel to influence John's dream, where she witnesses a younger version of John trapped in a pit. Karen rescues him from the pit, consequently bringing the real John back to consciousness. His fellow inmates are both shocked and elated to have him back. John implores Abraham to aid in his escape from prison alongside Karen, despite Abraham's initial skepticism. However, Abraham ultimately agrees to assist John regardless. He informs Karen of John's recovery, which greatly pleases her as her plan has succeeded. Karen asserts her ability to help with the escape and begins devising a plan. Meanwhile, Nino passes John a device retrieved from Maddox's body. Their friend and fellow inmate, D-Day, who was a computer enthusiast before incarceration, volunteers to dissect and analyze the device. In a subsequent scene, Karen stealthily acquires a diamond-like holographic lens from Poe's cabin. Despite nearly being caught, she successfully conceals the device inside her mouth. The next day, Karen hands the device to Abraham and requests him to pass it on to John. Initially hesitant about the potential consequences, Abraham agrees to do it as a favor. Utilizing the cell's protective laser beams, the group activates the lens to examine a holographic map of the facility. They discover an escape route leading through the construction site. The subsequent morning, Abraham discreetly returns the lens to Poe's cabin. Poe, unaware of the lens's previous use, urges Karen to divorce John and marry him instead. He promises to treat her child as his own and even pledges to secure John's freedom. Karen reluctantly agrees to the proposition for the sake of her husband and child. Meanwhile, D-Day successfully deciphers the functioning of the intestinate device. Revealing its magnetic properties, he demonstrates its capability to extract similar devices from other bodies. Astonished by the device's effectiveness, they proceed to remove all of their intestinate devices. The following day, Zed alerts Poe to review the security camera footage, revealing Karen's theft of the lens and Abraham's subsequent return of it. He is infuriated to discover he has been betrayed, but Zed informs him that his dismissal stems from his negligence. Meanwhile, the boys set their plan in motion. They affix their devices to a metal pipe in the construction area and simulate a brawl. As Zed becomes aware of the altercation, it triggers the devices, causing them to detonate. This creates an opening for their escape through the pipe. However, Poe activates the steam valves, releasing scalding gas into the pipes to ensnare them. He also deploys the strike clones, who commence firing at the group from within the facility. Now trapped in the pipe, one of the inmates, Stiggs, succumbs to panic and attempts to re-enter the facility, only to be fatally shot by the clones. Meanwhile, Abraham approaches Karen at the facility, but before they can take action, Poe intercepts them. He murders Abraham and orders soldiers to escort Karen to undergo a procedure to transform her baby into an advanced human like himself. Meanwhile, the group successfully eliminates one of the clones and discovers that he too is an advanced human. John seizes his firearm and launches an assault on the remaining clones as they infiltrate the facility. Amidst the chaos, they manage to ascend atop an elevator-like apparatus that carries them upwards. The entire prison erupts in cheers upon witnessing their escape. Upon reaching Poe's chamber, they demand to see Karen. On the screen, doctors are seen attempting to extract her baby. John warns Poe to halt the procedure, but his commands go unheeded due to his dismissal from the system. A killing device targets the group, but they evade it, resulting in Poe becoming its unintended victim. With Poe's demise, D-Day takes control of the panel, endeavoring to prevent the doctors from proceeding with the operation on Karen. Before he can complete the process, a clone shoots him. John manages to eliminate the clone, and an injured D-Day disables the entire facility's electrical system with his last ounce of strength. The doctors halt the procedure temporarily. With the security system malfunctioning, every prisoner starts fleeing. John and Nino emerge as the sole survivors. They search for Karen and rescue her from the doctors. The trio boards a vehicle and drives away from the facility, only stopping when they reach Mexico. Karen, on the verge of giving birth, finds herself in a shed. Suddenly, the vehicle they used starts moving autonomously, still under the control of the facility. Tragically, it strikes Nino, killing him instantly. John confronts the vehicle while Karen goes into labor inside the shed. Armed with a weapon from earlier, John destroys the vehicle in a fiery explosion. However, the vehicle crashes into the shed, burying Karen in its wreckage. Distraught, John frantically searches for his wife and eventually discovers her unharmed nearby, cradling their newborn baby. The movie concludes as the couple marvels at their child.